That didn't sound like. Do you want to do the introduction today? Yeah. Okay, I'll do it again.
Mr. Scott, would you like to do the introduction to our new show?
To our new show. Okay, obviously, we've got Scotty, Motty, Youngy, and Joe. Everyone say hello to Joe.
Hey. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. Thanks for letting me join in. I'm loving it so far. Every second is a blessing. Thank you very much.
Sound like you're ill.
Yeah, well, you know, sometimes.
I don't know how long
you're going to hostage situation going on over there.
You can't tell, but Jay's next door. He's in my kitchen, and he's tied my legs together. So I'm doing this podcast whether I like it or not.
Watch his blinks. He's sending out a message in Morse code. Like, help me. Send help. I don't want to be here. Sorry. Yeah. Well, this is it, isn't it? Now there's 4 of us. This is the new setup.
Yeah.
It's not Scotty and Motty anymore. It's Scotty, Motty, Youngy, and Joe. We've got 4 of us because me and Scotty are just fucking lazy and just can't be asked doing it on our own. And we're just like,
actually, I would have said it because I really like the input that James and Joe have on other podcasts. Not because I'm lazy and stuff. It's because of their journalist integrity and because they are both very good talking heads, and also because you're a lazy cunt.
That's it. All right, it's the best of both worlds, isn't it? We all like each other. We all get on. Me and Joe do about 27 podcasts together a week, and I'm not even exaggerating. Like, we're basically just fucking Stratford Paddock is basically Jay and Joe every day for fucking 8 hours a day. So we said, why don't we do something that's not football? Why don't you come and join us? Youngy, obviously, me, Scotty and Youngy have been doing this for the last few months, but not been able to do it as often. So we want to try and get back to being more regular. Doing it at least twice a week, bringing back some of the other stuff, top fives and other stuff that we used to do, and having a bit more of a laugh, and also doing the podcast each Monday morning. Well, every Monday morning, but doing it Sunday night.
Yeah, and which we're going to try and keep it down to one news story per person, and then we'll sort of put it out there for everybody else to discuss. And I don't think we could start the show without talking about Mr. Matt Hancock that resigned yesterday. Much to the chagrin of people that wanted him to be pushed really by Boris Johnson. First and foremost, we've got to think about what sort of standards of men have you going for with Matt Hancock's the option. That was the first thing that's going through my mind. Like, what sort of daddy issues have you got in your life that you need to?
Do you know what though? Right. I mean, yeah, I get what you mean. Like Matt Hancock, he's not the ugliest man, though, is he?
No, but
he's not like. Yeah, do you know what it is though? It's like what the real. Obviously, there's loads to talk about with this, but it was the bit where the video came out in that newspaper we don't talk about. It was the bit where he was looking behind the door, like, you know, is the coast clear sort of thing, and then just pounced on her. And I was like, mate, you're 12 years old at the school disco. What are you even doing? Like, why are you doing this? Like, what is going on? Like, you're 40 odd years old, whatever he is. Like, get a grip. It was so cringe. Honestly,
he got a grip.
He did, yeah. But it was literally like someone who's never kissed a girl before, wasn't it? It was like, oh, look, my mum and dad aren't coming. Quick, come here.
It was very sort of Carry On film, wasn't it? The way they sort of something wrong.
Oh, mate, seriously.
It's the hypocrisy of it for me that pisses me off the most. That he's told people all these rules and he's not obeyed by them, and then he has the brass neck to do that and then stay at the same time. You can't social distance. You can't do all this other stuff. He broke all the rules and the complete corruptness of the whole thing, whereby she was quite clearly involved and people were getting contracts that they shouldn't have done. Like Dominic Cummings was saying, he should have been sacked like ages ago. He shouldn't have to resign for this. Like, he should have been sacked, for the fact that he's mishandled this terribly and he's probably the worst health secretary ever. And then on top of that, all the other stuff regarding corruption and lives that he's caused in the whole care home disaster. And this is what it's taken to actually get him to resign. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, I mean, isn't that an indictment on the sort of the Tory government that we've got in charge? That I would suggest that him getting his end away with one of his staff members is probably the least worst thing that he's done in the last 18 months. In my opinion, I'd say.
I agree with that.
Yeah, sorry, go on, Joe.
Yeah, I just think I agree with what you said, James. I agree. You know, you look at the numbers, you look at the job he's done, you look at all this stuff. But for me, the real takeaway from this was This is the sexiest he's ever been by an absolute mile. Like, this is a man that until now I thought was only capable of overseeing atrocities and terrible government, but he's also capable of doing the one thing he never looked possible to do, which is actually snogging someone. The look on his face when he's looking around that corner like that, oh, is anyone looking? And then he's leaning against the door like something from Grange Hill. Honestly, this is the best thing he's done since he's been in, and it's unbelievable that this is what's got rid of him. Like, now he can leave on his Harley Davidson smoking fags because he's the cool kid. Like, he should have been sent out months ago, years ago. He was done. No one liked him. He was doing a terrible job. Like you said, he's overseen, countless unnecessary deaths and the worst sort of handling of COVID of any of the major countries in the world. And now he leaves because he got caught having a little snog. It's just remarkable, really, isn't it?
It is, you're right. And it's like everyone said, this is probably the thing, I think you said it, Scotty, this is the thing I'm least asked about. I'm not that bothered about him cheating on his missus. That's between him and her, really. I'm not that bothered about, the what he's got up to. It's just, okay, yeah, he's broke COVID rules. You mentioned that, James, and that, when you're asking people to abide by these rules and people haven't been able to go to funerals and stuff and sit, next to loved ones and comfort them when someone's died, then yeah, that is a piss take. But in terms of the actual affair itself, I don't care. I care that he's breaking the very rules he expects us to live by. But yeah, what made me laugh is like, and I don't want to sort of pounce on him because I always have a go at him, but it needs to be said, like Keir Starmer's coming out and going, oh, well, listing all the things he's done wrong. And then sort of said, and this as well. And I thought, well, why weren't you attacking him for those other things? Why didn't you say he should have gone? When he acted unlawfully, which is broke the law, you said he shouldn't resign or he shouldn't be sacked. And now you're saying he should after he's already quit. And I think that's the sad thing, because loads of people are coming out now, especially from Labour, and going, oh, he should have gone for this and he should have gone for that. And I thought, well, why weren't you saying that at the fucking time? Why weren't you saying it? Like, when he broke the law, when he gave contracts to people he shouldn't have done, when there was a lack of PPE, when nurses were wearing bin bags, and then he went in front of a select committee and denied that even happened. When he said he was going to throw a protective ring around care homes and he didn't, why weren't you calling for his resignation then? And now he's been caught snogging someone in a cupboard. You're going, oh yeah, fucking hell, we always thought he should have gone. Where's the opposition, man? That's what pisses me off. Tories are always going to Tory, but Labour have just buried their head in the fucking sand until he's actually quit, and then they're going, actually, yeah, he should have gone ages ago. That's what winds me up.
He should have gone for that video of him sitting down awkwardly.
Like Woody out of Toy Story.
Yeah.
He's so weird, isn't it? Have you seen the one of him walking down Downing Street like that? Have you not seen that?
The video of him with the
fucking zombie.
The person that he's speaking to, the woman, and he's just staring at her like really weirdly.
That was proper cringe.
That's a bad one.
He looked like he was going to start rubbing up against it, didn't he? Or something. Oh.
Well, now we know he probably did as soon as the camera stopped rolling.
He was looking behind the door going, come on, love. Hey,
come on. You know the drill.
Yeah. It was proper sort of sex pest fire rubbing, wasn't it? That was his
no. He is proper like someone who's desperately struggling to pretend to be human. Like he's fucking just like, he doesn't know how to act like a normal person. And everything he does is just cringe. And he's like, like we had it with Ed Miliband when he couldn't eat a fucking bacon butty and other things, and he couldn't is it Michael Gove couldn't clap and all that sort of stuff. They just can't function like humans, can they? It's like the fucking malfunctioning cyborgs. And sometimes there's a glitch that we can all see, and it's just embarrassing, man.
Was it Boris Johnson that couldn't do the? Was it the Okie Kokie or something weird like that when they was trying to get him to sing and join in with like an activity? He just couldn't do it.
What do you mean he couldn't do the Okie Kokie?
He didn't have that. He couldn't coordinate his mouth to sing, to shout out and run in and out at the same time. It was beyond
like patting your head and rubbing your belly. It must be not right difficult for him.
It was like when he cleaned that chair like he was a fucking baboon. Have you seen that one? like he'd never seen this thing. Like someone gave him a cloth and a chair and was like, clean that. And it was like beyond him. He was like, what the fuck do I do here? And he cleaned it like he was a proper like some out of Planet of the Apes. It was fucking unreal. Just think, who are these people and how they're in charge of us all?
And the whole Dido Harden thing as well is terrible. It's just dreadful, the whole thing. The whole test and trace thing. Like hundreds and hundreds of millions just disappearing.
And it like, literally like we've lost all the test and trace fucking results or something. And it's like, now it's like, oh, there's stuff coming out about Hancock using the wrong email, so we can't find out how he awarded contracts. It's like, they're just such a fucking shambles.
There was the whole thing about they deleted loads of Excel spreadsheets by accident because they formatted it wrong or something, because they lost thousands and thousands of COVID results.
To be fair,
Excel spreadsheet.
Excel is a fucking nightmare. Like that's the worst program known to man. That I fucking hate. Spreadsheet. I've got a phobia. I don't know if it's an actual thing for spreadsheet phobia, but stay the fuck away from me. So I've got some sympathy if that's happened.
Are you more of a?
It's Microsoft Words. Microsoft's fault.
Are you more of a Google Sheets man?
I just stay away from anything with numbers and squares and shit like that. James,
I fucking struggle with it. Excel's a fucking mystery. I'm just about getting used to Google spreadsheets, but I've been dragged towards that kicking and screaming. It's all a bit confusing. But you'd expect a bit better from the government, would you, than Excel spreadsheets that have been accidentally deleted? Fucking hell, what's all that about? Do you know what I mean? What made me laugh is... Go on.
They just don't have. There's just no recourse, no problem. They can do what they want. And I thought the whole point of one party state, which we're essentially in at the minute, is like they end up being tyrannical sort of fascist governments. They're just thick. They're just showing how thick they are, and they don't even have to hide it anymore. Yeah. That's the thing. Oh, we deleted it. Oh, Boris fell on it and broke it with his bum. The hard drive. It's like Hagrid's in charge. Yeah. Oh, he did a birthday cake and Boris sneezed on it, and we had to throw it. That's all they've done.
It's like a frat boy party at the Tory. It's like a National Lampoon's government. That's what it's.
It is though, isn't it? Like, it's so ridiculous. Like, we've lost him. You've what? We've fucking he had him. I don't blame me. He had him.
That's literally.
You said you had him.
That's literally an episode of the. That's literally an episode of The Thick of It.
Yeah,
that's an entire plot line of The Thick of It, where they lose the whole thing.
All the data, and they do it up to and including a certain month, and he's not meant to. And it's like he has to sit there typing them all in because he's fucking accidentally deleted him. That's the sort of shit they're doing. Do you know what I mean? And in the meantime, you've got Dominic Cummings who's just firing shots left, right, and centre. But what made me laugh about it all was Matt Hancock's literally spent the last week going on the telly, telling everyone how he's not fucking hopeless and how him and Boris get on really well. And then at the end of all that, this video comes out of him snogging his woman, and he's had to fucking quit anyway. It's just like he's had the shittiest week ever. Do you know what I mean? It's like...
And those text messages as well that Cummings released.
That's it. No, from the hopeless ones. He's fucking useless. Sorry, and he's had to go on and say no. The one where he was on, I think was it GMB, and was it Adil Ray was like, how can you work for a boss that thinks you're completely hopeless? And he's like, he doesn't. Like, fucking hell, it's so embarrassing.
Vaccine rollouts.
Do you know what I mean? And it's fucking. And
Are you not?
And now it's gone anyway.
Do you not? I mean, I'm going to miss him. I'm not going to lie, because out of all of them, not for his policies, obviously, Jay, but he was the partridge of the group, wasn't it? There was like, even though he was completely useless, there was a comedy, there was an entertainment value that came alongside him, and now we're left with fucking Pretty Patel, looks like a fucking bulldog chewing a wasp half the fucking time. Michael Gove, twat. The other one, the Victorian guy, what's his name? I can't remember. The fucking the guy looks like a Victorian. Yeah, looks like Victorian head teacher.
Who?
And then
Jacob Rees-Mogg.
He looks like a Dickensian character, doesn't he?
Yeah.
So I'll actually miss Matt Hancock. Yeah. I think I'll miss Matt Hancock, especially getting grilled by on Good Morning Britain and stuff.
We've got Sassy Javed to come now, so
I know what you mean. Like, he was a figure of of fun. In the middle of the pandemic, I don't really want my health secretary to be like Alan Partridge. I'd rather. I know what you like getting at. It is a bit of light relief, but I'd rather he was someone who had a fucking Scooby-Doo what he was doing. And we haven't
got that option though. We haven't got that option. I have a dark sense of humour.
So they may as well be funny because they're all shit. Yeah. So at least funny.
Yeah.
Right.
If they're going to be, going to be a parody, be a good fucking parody.
Yeah. Do you know what? Do you know what made me laugh as well? Did you see Diane Abbott's tweet about Michael Gove? Because at first people were saying it was going to be Michael Gove that was going to take over. So she tweeted, some people on Twitter seem to think that Michael Gove is poised to take over from Matt Hancock. But are they confident that Gove's private life is beyond reproach? ? Question mark. Maybe Sarah Vine can shed some light on this. Hashtag back to basics. Because Sarah Vine writes for the Daily Mail, I think, is it, or the Mail on Sunday?
Yeah, I think so.
That's his wife. So everyone, and then what I liked about that tweet as well, she put a picture of Michael Gove there looking proper stupid, like in case we didn't know who he was, and then turned off the comments so no one can fucking reply to her. So because all the right hate Diane Abbott, everyone's going, oh, what's going on? And then people now started all these rumours that maybe Michael Gove's been at it with someone as well. And then Sarah Vine did an article where she did this ridiculous article today, and I don't really, you know me, I don't read the Daily Mail, but fucking curiosity got the best of me. Where she was always like making excuses, saying that like the problem with politicians' wives is, you know, they see the politicians when they've known the politicians for years, and sometimes that makes it difficult for the politicians to stay with them. I just thought, what the fucking hell does that mean? Like,
what?
Yeah, it was
what
like
a weird, like big brother sort of school ground. Well, you think I've cheated on her then? Well, why don't you ask Katie where she was on Friday night? Because it was Alex Turner's house, wasn't it? And they were snogging. And I saw them. They're having a barbecue together, and his mum got them both a Fanta, and then they snogged. Like, what is that, like, childhood tattletale? Like, well, I like it, though. I'm well up for that. I'm well up for a bit of just, you know, I'm a kid, and well, you think he shagged her? Well, he shagged her. And then she's gone. Yeah. Here's the problem. Politicians' wives expect them not to cheat on them, and that is a disgrace. What a weird thing to write that is.
That's what it was like. She sort of said something like, you know, when you're at work all day saving the world, it's a bit hard to come home to the woman that, you know, you've known for years and just
the woman that supported you.
Yeah, like, you know what I mean? The woman that expects you to empty the dishwasher.
Yeah. Spare a thought for Matt Hancock's wife, who probably came into all this thinking, how am I the one that's got cheated on? Yeah. I went for the nerd on purpose because he won't be able to get anyone else. Yeah. And he still cheated on me. Oh, man. Unbelievable.
Did you see that Big Brother thing that someone made on Twitter?
Yeah. I've heard them in kissing his aide. He said he's staying with her, didn't he? His aide. He's the woman he's cheating.
I think so. Could do a Tommy Docherty.
He's staying with her. What do you mean?
Like he's going to start seeing her. He's left his wife.
Has he really? Yeah.
Yeah. He's doing. Someone said that. I know you guys don't watch it, but someone said he's like Casa Amor on Love Island. He's like he's not going back to his missus. Yeah. He's like he's recoupled.
Fucking hell. He's gonna have like it's like a cigarette leather fucking jacket over his shoulder, like Roberto Mancini. Fucking off into the.
Don't need her anymore. I've got a new
Come on, babe.
Yeah,
there's no way. I tell you what, at the beginning of this pandemic, not one of us would have thought that fucking Matt Hancock would have any sort of kudos. You know what I mean? He's just walking off into the sunset with all the fucking PPE blowing up behind him. The whole country's gone to shit, and he don't care because he's got his missus.
He loves it.
It's like that, you know, that bit from Partridge where he walks down the hotel with the shower curtain on, but it's just PPE.
Yeah, it's like a cape.
Yeah. What did you think about the CCTV? Because the Tories said that they didn't know anything about it. And that's got to be worrying, hasn't it? If the Sun's managed to get in there and put something in. They said office.
it was hidden inside a smoke detector apparently, and no one knew about it. That's what the Sunday Times was saying today. That no one actually knew that there was a camera there, which is presumably why he was snogging.
Well, that's good, isn't it? So then, theoretically, any organisation could hide anything in there then. You know, weaponry or cameras that are going straight to Russia or China. Presumably, the whole building's completely compromised, is it? Oh, there was just a thing there that we didn't know was there that leaked potentially illegal and sacred information about how this country's ran. That was just there. And luckily, the only thing it caught was some twat snogging someone else. That's it. Yeah, that's fine. Then that makes me feel safe about the security of the country.
It doesn't instill like you know, confidence in the government holding us against you know terrorism. How will they get towards them in charge?
They're always like this though. Like they're so incompetent. I told you like the first time when I said I interviewed David Cameron, and I didn't have a press pass. I didn't have anything. I wasn't on the list, and I just basically walked past the woman on the desk with a fucking list of journalists that should have been there. Walked in like I should have been there. Went up to the first person I found with a suit, wearing a suit, and just said, are you from number 10? And he was like, oh, no, it's her over there. And he put him into this woman who was from Downing Street. And I was like, where are the interviews taking place? And she was like, oh, right, I'll take you to it. It's in the huddle. And she was like, have you sent your questions through to Kim or whatever? And I was like, yeah, she's got mine. I didn't even know who the fuck Kim was. And the next thing you know, I'm in a room with David Cameron. And I'm like, I could have been fucking, no one's checked me. No one's searched me. No one, I wasn't on any list. I didn't even have a fucking press pass. I was thinking, it's madness, mate. And it's like you're saying there, Joe, with this, like, this camera footage has come around and everyone's sort of, you know, looking at what it's featuring and all the rest of it. And only now, I think today, we've seen a little bit more of like, how has it come about? And why has it been like a month as well? It was the 6th, was it the 6th of May? So you've had a month and a bit of sitting on this. And why now? Like, who's behind all this? Do you know what I mean? It's like, why has it been released now? Who's got it? Who put that camera there? And why have the Sun got hold of it? Do you know what I mean? There's so many sort of odd things about this that don't make any sense.
And why is Matt Hancock wearing the sun on his clothes as well?
Very good point. Very good point. And also, how many other cameras are there? I bet that whole thing's rigged up like the Big Brother house, isn't it? If it just happened to be the one, or we put it in the kissing room, so that's how we knew we'd get some good footage. Like the one camera that's supposedly there happened to get footage of like the 5th most powerful person in Britain having an affair. There must be dozens of camera all around everywhere. Number 10 down. I bet the whole place is full of them, and it'll have captured some absolute nightmares. Just one camera and it got an affair. That's lucky, isn't it?
You know, I bet Boris Johnson's got to be shitting himself if he's not behind this.
Oh, man, he'll be deleting like emails like he's deleted spreadsheets.
God, mate.
Yeah. We'll just have to put out a montage of his.
Yeah,
we can't just do one bit of footage.
I reckon Cummings is just waiting for the right time to just blow Johnson to shreds with something, because I reckon he's got loads on him.
Oh, he definitely has. He definitely has.
Yeah, those WhatsApp messages aren't that bad, really. I know they're not great, but they're not like, wow, this is going to bring down the government tackle. No. It's just like slightly embarrassing for a few cabinet members. And it tells us a lot of what we knew anyway. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you connect the dots. But you're right, there is going to be some sort of smoking gun shit out there. And I just, I wonder if he will use it or when he'll use it. Because he does seem like someone Cummings, doesn't he, that doesn't have like an affiliation with anyone. Like,
no.
I know he
campaigned for hiring and
he campaigned for Brexit, but had Remain hired him, I think he'd have worked for them. It wasn't like he believed in Leave, and like they just fucking basically hired him because he was good at his job or good at doing that.
Good at lying.
Yeah, he was, and he was good, sort of using the data to maximum effect. So I don't. It's not like he's a dying-wool Tory who won't want to hurt the party or hurt the government. I think if he gets just more and more bitter, he might just fucking, like you say, show everyone where the bodies are buried, because he's a bit fucking off his head, isn't he?
I reckon he'll like that as well. The idea that in his legacy after. Everything's gone. He'll like that he's worked for both sides, done a bit like the sort of Jose Mourinho of sort of consultants, where yes, he'll work for Inter, then he'll work for Roma, then he'll work for Chelsea, then he'll work for, like, he'll do everything, both sides of the party. He just thinks of himself as this sort of, plotting genius figure, doesn't he? That sort of wears his linen shirt, leans back in his chair, and will work for anyone and prove everyone wrong all the time. So yeah, that wouldn't surprise me at all if he did that.
It's like an always relegated Premier League side that's just causing havoc at the bottom of the table.
That's Dominic Cummings' legacy, but like you say, the best may yet be to come. Because there's talking of Johnson not sticking around. He was saying, Cummings, that Johnson won't stick around forever because he wants to make money. You know what I mean? Like, because he's moaning that he's always moaning that he's skint because he doesn't make as much money being Prime Minister as he could in the private sector, even though he's making money for lots of his mates. So he won't fucking stick around for that long.
Here's a start then. Don't be Prime Minister. Do you know he wasn't forced into that? He wasn't born into it. I know technically he sort of was, but you don't have to be Prime Minister. It's not like jury service where you wake up one day, you open it, and go, fuck's sake, I've got to be Prime Minister for 5 years here. I wanted to make money in the private sector. Do that instead then. You absolutely. You can just imagine
him walking around having a stop car. You're like, I fucking don't want to do this job.
I don't want to do this. But everyone's known for 20 years I was going to have to be Prime Minister, so here I am, because this has been inevitable since I did Have I Got News for You in 2004. So I've got to do it, but I don't really want to. Just don't do it. Like we all did.
Yeah. And I wouldn't mind. He fucking stabbed so many people in the back to get there as well. He's like, he was mates with
know.
David Cameron and fucking stitched him right up. Theresa May gave him a second chance, stitched her right up. Just fucking stabbed everyone in the back until he got to become Prime Minister.
Gove
and
as
now
well, wasn't it? Stabbed him in the back.
And now he's moaning at the fact, fucking like you say, I'm stuck here. I'm not making as much money as I want to make, and I'm just fucking stuck in this house that the taxpayers have decorated for me.
He's not the best at using money, though, is he? I mean, that garden bridge that he spent millions on that just never built in London, and like the cable car thing as well, that was a complete waste of money when he was mayor of London.
He's like, we've literally gone and found the most fucking stupid person we could have found and made him Prime Minister and given him a massive majority as well, so he can just do what the fuck he wants. It's like it's like you were saying. Like, I used to watch it if I got news for you, and I used to laugh at Boris Johnson. I used to think he was really funny. Do you know what I mean? Like, because he didn't have any influence on my life other than entertaining me. This was back when If I Got News for You used to be funny, and it was like the comical guy, and he was funny when he did the UNICEF game when he rugby tackled the German player. And we all found that funny, and he was even when he became sort of like Mayor of London, there was like times when he was mildly amusing and I didn't care as much because it was like, I don't live in London and he's just fucking out of sight, out of mind. But now it's like he's actually making decisions that really affect my life and he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. And neither does anyone around him either. It's just like, it isn't funny anymore.
What's his legacy though? If he was to leave, right, at the end of the pandemic, when the pandemic's like gone, what's his legacy? Because I think if you're like right wing, I think he'll be known. He'll be known for the Brexit thing more so, or celebrated for that as much as the car crash of the pandemic. I think, and because of the lack of opposition from Labour and stuff, and he's not being held to account so much. I don't think that he's amazingly. After everything, the stock's quite high still for the Tories. That in itself is just fucking mind blowing. So I'm just wondering what you guys would think his lasting legacy would be as Prime Minister.
I'll let one of the lads go first.
I reckon. I mean, it depends. For the people who like him, it will be getting Brexit sorted. Oh, good stuff, lads. Well done. And look how many vaccines we did. That's what it'll be. Focus on the things that those people like. And it'll be that. I mean, to everyone else, it'll just be, I don't know, a sort of head in hands for the West type era, won't it? With the Trump and Johnson together being like the sort of the main focal point, and the main image that's imprinted on my brain of COVID is them two and them getting it and getting ill from it and then coming back from it, and just how everything was so terribly handled. And the only time we're ever at the top of any of the lists isn't for education or quality of life or any of that. It's for number of cases, number of deaths. That's what it'll be for a lot of people, I think. But for the people who like him, it'll be, wow, look at all the vaccines. That'll be it.
He's but you're not supposed to have that one. Yeah, do you not have that when you've got such a leader anyway that's either right or left wing? You are going to have a side that doesn't like what you've done in the job. That's by and large. I mean, Tony Blair, even when we talk about the invisible weapons of mass destruction, there were right wingers that won't like a lot of the stuff that Tony Blair did. But when you compare Johnson to say like his predecessor Theresa May, she was just bland, wasn't she? She like her legacy is nothing really, is it? In comparison to get
Brexit done, yeah, completely. Because her deal was pretty much similar to Boris Johnson's in a lot of ways, but she just couldn't get it passed through the Commons. And
that's what he will be celebrated in some quarters.
Grenfell Tower as well was a massive thing under her watch too, and the whole Windrush scandal as well. Like those were the two things for me anyway that I think led to her.
I think you're right, James, and also probably one of the worst campaigns by anyone in recent memory in 2017, where she was just one of just an awful candidate. She went from having this sort of confidence and strong and stable, and all the press were backing her, the right wing press anyway, which is the majority of the papers in this country, and everyone thought she's just gonna wipe out Corbyn and Labour, and it ended up with a hung parliament because she just was fucking clueless on the campaign trail, and she just let Labour sort of steal a march. And I think the sort of with Johnson, the bar is so fucking low. Yeah, when you mention Blair there, Iraq is his legacy for me and always will be. I think with Brown, I know it wasn't his fault, but the global crash came on his watch, and I think that's going to always be a thing. Fucking Cameron, for me, is the worst prime minister in my lifetime, and I put him worse than Thatcher even, with austerity and taking us to Brexit. And then with Johnson, like you say, May, almost like a fucking footnote. and after for like, inconsequential fucking Theresa May. And then
Ryan
you've got
Giggs
Johnson.
post David Moyes.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? It's like the caretaker fucking job that no one really bothers with. And then you've got Johnson. Yeah, 100%. And then you've got Johnson who, like you just said, Joe, for his supporters, he got Brexit done. He got a massive majority in election after 2 hung parliaments and a coalition and all this other shit. A hung parliament and a coalition out of the last 3 elections. He got a massive majority, which obviously gave the Tories carte blanche almost to do what they want. And then people who support him will look at it and go, he had the worst pandemic in 100 years and we had the best vaccine rollout and all this other shit. So I actually think he might end up coming out of this smelling with roses. But for me, what worries me is this sort of, little sort of nuggets we're getting that privatisation NHS and selling off to the Americans and things like that. Is that going to be something where you look back in 20 years and go, it was under Johnson that really went turbo and that started to happen? Whereas we've had little bits, haven't we, already? But is he going to take it to the next level? But yeah, I think he'll end up sort of amazingly, he could end up being looked back at fondly by a lot of people. And also, he's got, whether we like it or not, and I don't really like Johnson, he does have that little bit of charisma that the other prime ministers didn't have. People like him. Like, they do. Look at his opinion polls. The Tories aren't liked by a lot of people, but he is. People see him as a sort of, still see him as that, have I got news for you, funny figure, and people think he's deep down, he's a decent bloke who's quite funny and gets it. Do you know what I mean? He still has that sort of, that charisma that the likes of Cameron and Theresa May just didn't have. Do you know what I mean? And it's mad because he's a fucking sociopath, but he has got that. And I think he benefits as well from the fact that compared to his cabinet, you mentioned him earlier, Scotty, Priti Patel, fucking evil. Matt Hancock, complete useless twat. Michael Gove, a fucking, a malfunctioning cyborg. At least Boris Johnson looks like the sort of bloke you could have a drink with.
But even then, you talk about Theresa May's election campaign. His was even more pathetic, hiding in a fridge, not going up to any televised debates. There was so many things he did when normally, people would just say, what is this? Like, he's not doing anything. He's just hiding.
And still won. And still the majority of the...
You know what, though? Still won. That was not... Right, the hiding in the fridge thing was... But not doing those live debates was right. Because it only would have... Not doing the Andrew Neil interview was a masterstroke. Because Corbyn did it, was fucking hammered for 2 days in the press when they picked apart every front page was about what he said in that interview for the next fucking 2 days. Corbyn's going to do this and communist broadband and all this other shit. And then Johnson just didn't do an interview with Andrew Neil. So he didn't have to go through that. And for me, the big mistake there was Corbyn agreeing to that without having it set in stone that Johnson was going to do one, or Johnson already did one, because he just set himself up for all this abuse and fucking criticism. And then Johnson just went, fuck that, I'm not doing that. And just sidestepped it all. And it was just I
think as well, it's easy to think that, at the minute, obviously, the Conservatives have just got an overwhelming majority that seems insurmountable. But it wasn't long ago that a slightly more charismatic or certainly likeable and rallyable leader in Jeremy Corbyn for Labour, and a slightly less charismatic and less likeable, as much as it pains me to say that about Johnson, but leader in Theresa May, like you said, even without the help of many votes in Scotland and that sort of thing, we did have a hung parliament. And it doesn't take as much as you think, because like you said, Jay, despite it, even though it sort of pains me to say it, Boris Johnson is very well liked. And the next person isn't as guaranteed to be as liked as he is, because it's quite rare. If they when he goes, it's not just a case of get any old shitter in and they'll win easy because look at the polls. if they get it wrong and Labour get it right next time, because Starmer isn't that, it's not as far off as it seems at the minute. And I think, like you said, Jay, they've almost got a good thing with Johnson, because somehow he's managed to sidestep any sort of proof of competence with just being, floppy-haired fun guy who used to be on Have I Got News For You, and people just like him no matter what. But that isn't necessarily certain to stay, and I think it seems easy to think that now. But we saw not that long ago, Corbyn seemed unelectable, and yet he stopped Theresa May from getting a majority. So, yeah, it's weird. He is more popular than you would think he is, but he absolutely is.
It's that's good point. Actually, that's some optimism that you can sort of hold on to, that, because there isn't it is quite optimistic that the Tories have no other popular figures within their cabinet, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it was a similar thing with Trump to a certain degree. The Republicans, like the Republican establishment, fucking hate Trump. Like the true Republican fucking old school. They won't publicly say it because when they do, like Liz Cheney, they just get fucking absolutely hammered. But he was able to just rally so many voters that wouldn't vote for anyone else. Like he beat all the Republican candidates in the primaries, and he fucking beat them all quite comfortably. Do you know what I mean? And no one gave him a chance. And he was able to motivate all these crowds the same way that Corbyn did. And he was able to sort of like just be this guy that people might not necessarily give a shit about, you know, the Republican policies, but they like Trump and they like the shit he comes out with. And there's an element of that with Boris Johnson, you know, like just you working class people that probably wouldn't vote for necessarily have got off their ass and voted for Theresa May, but will vote for Boris Johnson because he's one of the lads sort of thing. And you're right, because you look at that cabinet, and for the reasons I've just said, you know, if Dominic Raab or Michael Gove or any of them was leader, have they got that about him? No.
I think Sunak's the only one, really.
Sunak's a good but even, you know, I still have this thing with the Tories. I just don't know if the establishment would put him in charge. You know what I mean? I still think, like, would they really have a...
Yeah, but he's a good one to do, though, because similar to sort of Kwasi Kwarteng, he won't really do much. Similar to the way Thatcher was not a feminist at all. They can, if he becomes prime minister, they can go, look, we really care about sort of ethnic and minority groups. We've got a leader that's one, but then they won't do anything to actually change the lives of those people. It's just sort of like tokenism at the highest level.
No, I get that. And I think, like Joe said, for me, the big sort of factor in all this is Labour's got to get their act together. Because you could put a fucking traffic cone up for the next general election and it'll beat Keir Starmer. I'm fucking telling you now, because that guy, you know, has just got fuck all going on for him. Like, yeah, you know, they've just had a by-election in Cheshire and Amersham, and I was down there myself doing some stuff for Breakthrough, and they got 622 votes. Like, there's 600 party members, Labour Party members in Cheshire and Amersham, which basically, you know, obviously means they got 22 people who weren't party members to vote for him. It's like, it's unbelievable. It's like if you went knocking on doors and said, don't vote for me, you'd still get that. Like, they've got to fucking move on from him because it's just not going to happen under him. I just can't see him ever winning an election. And, you know, like you were saying, Joe, you know, Corbyn could get a crowd. He could motivate people. He had that thing, you know, Scotty, you mentioned Grenfell. You look at the images and the videos of Corbyn going down there and speaking to people. You look at, you know, him on stage at Glastonbury. And okay, it didn't convert into necessarily enough votes to win an election, but he was able to get people rallying for him to go out and passionately campaign for him. I interviewed loads of people involved in Momentum who were like your age younger, who like had never been interested in politics, but got Corbyn and loved Corbyn and wanted to do something. You're not going to get out with Keir Starmer. Fucking no one's doing that for Keir Starmer. You know, no one's going, fucking hell, I'll tell you what, if Keir Starmer gets in power, we're going to see a fucking something good's going to happen to this country. But that's what Corbyn got going for people. And
no one
Keir
knows who Starmer is. Like, have you seen that? Have you seen that Sky News Vox Pop? They go up to that person in the street in Fleetwood and they say, "Do you know who this person is?" And they say, "No." And it's like it's Keir Starmer. It's a picture of him.
Yeah, he's not because he also wasn't particularly well known beforehand, was he? I know, obviously, to people who care and stuff, he was, but none of my mates knew who Keir Starmer was before he was leader of the Labour Party. He just bundled in out of nowhere, looking like sort of Tim Henman's older, slightly chubbier brother. And then just is expected to get enough votes to beat Boris Johnson, who is a famous person. That's another thing to remember. He's not just a politician. He's a famous person who happens to be a lifelong politician at the same time. Like, you're not going to beat him with that. Absolutely no chance.
No, he's got no personality either, does Starmer. That's the thing that Johnson has. Like, if they go together in a debate, like, Starmer's not winning that because there's nothing to him.
No, he's there isn't, and like, you know, everything we've seen from Starmer, for me, like along the way, has just shown a lack of backbone and just. I hate to say this because it's such a cop out way, but it's almost at times like when you see him and Johnson in PMQs, it's almost like he's too thoughtful. Keir Starmer, he's too forensic. He's too like if you watch them both, Johnson just says one-liners and bluster, but people remember that sort of shit. And Starmer's more like a cyborg sort of person. And he's like, you know, you can remember these little one-liners that Johnson comes out with and he calls them, oh, he's Captain Hindsight, and everyone laughs. And it sticks. That kind of shit sticks. And then when Starmer says something, people go, "You're just using hindsight," even when he's not. Even when he's saying, "Actually, we've been saying this for fucking months. This is gonna be a disaster." Do you know what I mean? You need to do something about it. And he goes, "Cops in hindsight," and people go for it. And then when you do have issues that people want to see Starmer fucking fighting for, like when Matt Hancock broke the law, he comes out with things like Hancock shouldn't resign, and you think, well, why not? Why are you saying he shouldn't resign when half the fucking media is saying he should, and it's your fucking job to be the opposition?
It's like going up to the ref and saying, "Don't send that guy from the opposition off. I know he headbutted one of our team, but don't send him off because it'll ruin the game." It's like your job has to be to fight for everything, go down for everything, go up to the ref after every single tackle, even if you don't think it was a foul. That's what his job is. Yeah. And there's nothing quite as well. Just this sort of icing the sprinkle on the top of the cake, just dropping a knighthood to really relate to working class people. There's nothing a sir to really get everyone going, is there? I work in Wilco and I'm going to vote for a fucking Knight of the Realm. Are you having a laugh?
It's so right. Like, even that it's bad. It's not his fault. Like, obviously, but Sir Kay, as he's introduced, is like, you may as well call him Lord Pontherby Smythe is here. Do you know what I mean? He's rode in to fucking save us all on him with his horse and his fucking grapes. It's like, what? Oh,
he's definitely into XG as well.
It's like when he does the football thing. You know what it's like when Scotland got knocked out and he's like, unlucky Scotland, but, you know, hopefully England can win. And you think, oh, fucking shut up. Yeah. Just shut the fuck up.
Who was that Labour MP that did that thing about Rashford? And it was like, oh, even as a Liverpool fan, I have to say, well done. And it's like, fuck off.
Yeah.
Why?
Why are you putting that as a Liverpool fan? Yeah. It's like, just shut the fuck up. You don't care about football.
They understand that footy fans have a rivalry that they don't really like. You know, they don't like people from other teams. Yeah. So I have to pretend to have that as well.
It's like, when was it Saka made his debut the other day, or played well in the Euros, and Starmer was like, obviously I'm biased because I'm an Arsenal fan.
Oh, a bit cheeky.
Dick. Yeah.
Footy banter.
Yeah. What you like, you AK, Sir K.
When David Cameron pretended that he liked Chelsea.
No, he got confused, didn't he, with West Ham and Villa? Because they both wear the same colour and he couldn't remember which one he was supposed to support.
But do you know something? I don't even mind that. I don't think David Cameron should have enough time to watch a lot of football, to be honest. If he was a season ticket holder at Villa, I'd be fuming because you've got fucking shit to do. You can't go to 35 games a season because you've got a country to run. So don't
not the way days.
Yeah, he's on the bus.
What the fuck are you doing on pre-season
in the morning? Get in number 10. Don't pretend to love football. Do your job. It's really difficult.
Part of it's the other way around, though, Joe. Part of me would be like, I've not even had a chance to have a look at that EU treaty because Villa are in the cup fucking semis the other week, mate. I was watching that. I'm like, all right, fair enough.
I've booked all the away days off work. That G7's going to have to shift it because we've got Arsenal away. Honestly, I don't know what we're going to do about that because I'll have to send someone else.
You can fuck off if you think I'm missing that. But exactly. I'd be a bit like, go on, son.
Yeah. And I know we didn't get to the semi-final. We got knocked out by Germany, but I've booked the day off anyway, so I'm just going to have it at home. I'm just going to smoke fags and play Call of Duty all day. I've booked it now. I'm not getting that back. How many holiday days does the Prime Minister get, by the way? Does anyone know that?
He always goes off to his little retreat in Chequers, doesn't he? Or I think before a pandemic, he would go, I've got on holiday now. It's a good time to skip all these meetings. Nah, COVID. Nah, not a problem.
I'd love that.
Chinese New Year.
28 days?
Probably. I don't know. I don't know the exact figures, but Johnson strikes me as someone that, because didn't he go on holiday like quite a lot? Like when it was all like Cobra meetings and stuff. And
he was celebrating Chinese New Year like before, like in February.
And they couldn't have made it sound more cool as well by calling it Cobra. Really cool, aggressive, like striking, cool name. And he still couldn't be asked to turn up. Unbelievable. We did everything we could. We know you like cool names and you still didn't turn up. Unbelievable.
It's like that yacht that he's trying to get built, and everyone's saying, no, we don't want it. Even the Royals have come out and said, we don't want a yacht. And he's going, no.
I know. Like, this will be great for Britain. Yeah. And it's like, this will help us with trade. Yeah, because loads of people are going to trade with you when they think you're just fucking spending money you haven't got on a yacht the Queen doesn't even fucking want.
No, I think
Do
he
you know what
means
I
he's
mean?
going to go over to France and actually bring stuff back. He's going to import T-shirts
He's going
from
to do a beer
like,
run with it.
yeah,
A
exactly.
booze
Hey,
cruise.
a couple of bottles of wine, couple crates of wine, and we're sorted.
Do you know how much fucking cider I can get in that, mate?
According to the Mirror, the MPs get 80 days off a year.
80 days.
80.
Well,
80
That's
days,
more
yeah.
than being like what? I don't even know. That's part time. That can't be
80
true.
days?
80 days.
80 days, yeah. Yeah, I'll send it in the link.
Yeah,
Does that include weekends?
You've got all those, what is it, those hereditary peers in the House of Lords that can literally come in there and not say anything and just sit there, and they say it's like the best care home for the older people
I'd
because
love
they don't do
that.
anything. They literally don't do anything. They just sit there.
Do you get told off if you whip out a Nintendo Switch halfway through one of them? That's what I've been doing.
Half of them are asleep anyway, aren't they?
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? They're like fucking dribbling into the fucking laps. Mate, that's ridiculous. I can't get over that. 80 days. Do you know
80 days, man.
That's brilliant.
Okay, now, Joe, did you have a lighter story that you were saying?
Yeah,
before?
Yes. Go on,
I've
Sean.
got a slightly lighter story, yeah, because it's got quite heavy, hasn't it? This is in the Mirror as well, and this is a bloke that says, "My wife is furious that I paid my friend to help her clean around the house instead of doing it myself." Basically, a bloke and his wife live at home. She does all the housework. Right, you got to do more. You've got to do that. Right, okay. I'll make sure my half gets done. So he's paid his mate £10 an hour to clean up instead, and he's still just playing Xbox. I think that's genius, but it has raised the moral question about housework. And is it the same? Is he helping or is he cheating there? What do you reckon?
The shit's getting done, isn't it? And it's coming out of his pocket. So I'm in pure admiration, and I'd like his mate's number.
Would you do that, Jay? How are you with housework anyway, Jay?
I get told off for not doing it to a standard that's good enough. Like my missus, I'm not just saying this because it sounds like a cop out. My missus prefers to do it herself because when I do it, I don't do it properly. Like I do the cooking and that, like and help out the kids. But when it comes to like cleaning stuff, what I genuinely think is clean, like I've tidied and cleaned up. Look, and she'll come in and what the fuck, like what? No. And then she'll do it all again anyway. So she's like, I'd rather you just didn't fucking do it because you just don't do it to the standard I like. Because she's a bit OCD, my missus. So it's like, and there's no fucking way on God's earth, though, she'd let me hire my mate to come round and do it.
So you've gone down there.
She'd have to clean up before he got here because she'd be embarrassed of the mess.
She'd be embarrassed.
Yeah.
You've gone down the whole, I'll do it shit once and she won't ask me again method. Yeah, that's what you've gone for.
Okay, now.
We had like an inspector came round the other week, like one of the housing people, and they were like, she said it's like a fucking show home because my missus was like cleaning for a fucking like non-stop for 48 hours, and like they were like, I've not seen a house this clean because she was like proper obsessive. But yeah, I'm just like, if pile shit in cupboards and all that sort of stuff. But there's no fucking way.
I like that.
I always find it's like I don't like when the missus holds you to a standard that you've never met. It's like the banister broke an hour off, and she goes, she'll remind me, and I'm like, I've never fixed a banister in my life. Do you know what I mean? But how are you? I never. When we started going out with each other, I never said to you I could build anything. So you can't hold that against me 15 years later. That I can't do it. That's not on.
What? Why did you get to the point where you thought I could fix a banister? That was never me. That is a standard I never proclaimed.
How dare you hold that against me?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What next? You're going to make me run a 4-minute mile or you break up with me? That's not me.
You knew what you were getting. Don't start fucking.
I realised the reason why I thought that is because of Bannister, by the way. Roger Bannister.
Roger Bannister. Brilliant.
Very good. Very good. Very good.
No, Jay, honestly, I'm with your missus on this, right? If I have a fried egg, I've got to clean the pan straight after I use it. Just have to.
Oh, no. Because that's another thing. Because I cook in lockdown, right? I had to sort of. Because a lot of the time I'm not here. I wasn't here when I was working, when the kids were having breakfast or dinner or whatever. And when it was full lockdown, we were all in the house together. So it just ended up, I ended up cooking all the time. Like, and I actually quite got into it and, I quite enjoy it. And it was a good system because she obviously does it like pretty much everything else. So the least I can do is cook the meals. But no, yeah, she's like, because I'll cook and then I'll happily leave the kitchen for 5 hours. Just
no. And it won't get done then. That's the issue. Because I'll just do it tomorrow.
These two have just become a married couple.
I know, yeah. It will get done. It'll get done later on.
It won't get done. We've been through this.
It always gets done. Like there's no evidence to say that it wouldn't get done. Otherwise, there'd be a fucking shitload of mold growing in plates in the kitchen. It will get done. Chill out. I'm watching it.
It needs to get done immediately. After my dinner, I like to sit down and just stare out the window for fucking half an hour. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like that's it. Like have a little
but I know what I'm
relax.
like, you see. If I don't put like a can of San Miguel in the bin after I've drunk it, I'll just leave it for like 4 days and then it'll just stay there.
It'll make
It's
you
like-
feel sad.
When I used to live with my mum and dad's, like my dad used to call everything Saddam's bunker. He used to walk into the kitchen and he'd go, fucking look around like that. Saddam Hussein's bunker in here. Like a couple of cups on the side, and you're like,
I'm gonna guess, knowing your history, knowing that Saddam Hussein was a fucking Muslim totalitarian that killed people, that there was slightly different things in your bunker than there would have been in fucking Saddam Hussein's. Was the weapons of mass destruction at yours?
well, if you actually look at what his sons were up to, I think we might have had similar things in our bunker. According to like, it's like sniffing porn.
Do you ever get that? When you leave a light on and it's
That's
like,
a great name for a shop, that. Sniffing porn. That's a great name for a shop.
Well, I have turned into my dad though, James. I heard what you were saying about.
No, but you know what you're saying? You turn the light on and it's like bloody Blackpool illuminations in here. One light.
I'm the same with my oldest because she's in and out a lot, and I'm like, "Are you in or you're out?" I'm always saying that. Like,
do you say that was quick when she forgets something and then comes back?
Yeah. And like all that sort of just the same sayings my dad used to say. If you come in, if you go out again, or you come in again, you're staying in. Oh, no, she's not though, is she?
Mine's always, I can't take a shit in peace. Like my mum used to. Literally, can't do anything. But I'm running in.
Right. But yeah, I admire the guy's efforts.
Go to bed. No.
Yeah. I admire the guy's efforts from your story, Joe, but I'd never get away with that one. Not a fucking chance, mate.
No, I wouldn't. I'd never get away with that.
What do you make of GB News?
Mate, do you know what? We were talking about this. Me and you talked about this, weren't we, Joe? Like, the views for that are fucking awful. Like,
Paw Patrol in Welsh got more views.
The videos we do on Paddock get better views than that. Like, even the flagship, like, I think Andrew Neil's show it's got 31k on its last.
Yeah.
Which is, we do a fucking transfers live, it gets more than that. And it's like, how much money have they spent on it? How much publicity is that? It's had so much publicity as well.
What have they wasted the money on as well? Because it's so bad. They've got millions and millions, and the set looks like a giant PS4.
It does. And like all the graphics are always wrong constantly. Like it's just such a shambles. It's like they've deliberately fucked it up. Like I don't get how it can be.
The vision mixer there, like he just cuts to random camera shots, or the wrong person, or just the entire wrong thing entirely. The people keep on sending emails in, like my cunt has been read out.
Like, that was
What made me laugh is was it Simon? Was it Simon McCoy? We like proper
funny.
saw his
Funny.
ass. Yeah, you're actually stopping us from reading these out. Pretty soon we won't even read them out again. And then where will you be? I'm like, dude, you're encouraging this.
We'll just read the same names. It's fine. We'll just read the same. Small minority ruin it for everyone else as always.
Mate, what are you on
Then
about?
where will you be? Watching BBC News, probably like everyone else. I would have thought. The only people watching are people texting in with fake names, like Bart Simpson ringing up Mo Sislak. They're the only people watching. 30,000 people going, I hope I get Seymour Butts on the telly. That's literally all it is. And he's taken a break, hasn't he? Almost immediately, Andrew Neil. He's had to take a break.
Yeah, no, he said, I'm not doing it anymore.
That's it.
That literally what it took like 2 days, and he's thought, I've had enough of this shit.
Yep. It's a tough one.
The weird thing is, like, and I know I've said this before on here, and I'll probably get politics, but I didn't mind Andrew Neil that much. I thought he was pretty much one of those interviewers that would be hard on everyone. Like, he would go in on the Tories. Like, he was really hard with Johnson when he did interview him. And all right, I know he's right leaning, but he did trigger Ben Shapiro and people like that. He is sort of the guy whoever's in front of him, he won't go soft on him because the right wing or whatever. He'll give it to him, even though I don't agree with obviously his politics and stuff. So I did think, all right, with him, he will be that sort of that guy. At least he's got a little bit of credibility with him rather than the likes of fucking Dan Wootton and Michelle Dewsbury, who are just fucking thick twats.
Or you've got the other hand, you've got your Mercy Moroccans on there as well, who is the type of people who say the UK is not institutionally racist because I came from Kenya when I was 6 years old. That's basically the logic for it. And people should stop being woke.
It's just woke is just this term for like everything. Do you know, like if you're racist, you're woke. Do you know what I mean? Like, what's this? You hug your children, you fucking woke, mate. Like, it's just this blanket term for everything that's slightly decent, in anyone. It's like, oh, you just fucking woke.
The thing is, right? It doesn't even try to hide what it is, because you literally have Simon McCoy stand next to someone who was the head of media at UKIP. Like, you couldn't get more obvious as to what it's trying to be. And like, there's so many people there that either have links to the Brexit Party or a former Conservative aide, and the whole thing about the fact that it's GP News. All of the investors are from overseas, and Andrew Neil lives in the south of France.
The problem with it is, though, is it's like you mentioned all those things in UKIP and Brexit and all that. You look at the people who vote for those things. That's the majority of the country, and yet the views are still terrible. It's just crap. It's just bad news. It's not that it's too right wing or it's too this. It's too, like, a lot of people agree with that. Certainly more than 30,000 people agree with that. It's just a shit program. That's all there is to it.
There's too many people being snowflakes. That's the issue.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, we should all be thankful for that, though, shouldn't we? Really, because I think in the back of our minds, we could have been, when we're seeing the amount of money that was invested into it. I think many of us were sort of fearful that it was going to be another Fox News that was going to be, and it's more like 1990s Channel 5 news than it is Fox.
No, you could genuinely get
BBC Three.
You could get a better overlay on OBS than what they've got. Like, it literally looks like they've got some 15-year-old who designs like ultimate team concepts, like cards, to do like their graphics.
Yeah. And we are working towards something very similar on this channel as well. So we will have that, hopefully. Once that 15-year-old has finished those cards, we will be getting him in to do some overlays for us.
And some DIY.
Exactly. Put that banister up as well.
Yeah.
I know someone who actually did GP News on about the Welsh football team.
Really?
They got us to do it. But to be fair, like, they're one of the least political people I know. Like, he admitted to not knowing what it was before they asked him. So I don't think he was like a massive racist that was going on there. And he didn't say anything. He just went on there to talk about Wales, and he's done it again. But like,
and admittedly, he has done it again, and he has signed a full-time contract.
I know
he has endorsed some very severely right-wing parties. But he's a good guy,
right? I didn't actually like, he's an ex-colleague, so I know him reasonably well, right? And I think he's just desperate to get into the media industry because he's kind of at that age where he's kind of make or break for him. So I can kind of sympathise with him that way, because it is like national TV. But then, like, I wouldn't do it if they asked me.
Tone of voice when you went, and he has done it again.
Yeah, the story sort of was going one way, and then you were like, it's not political. He didn't even know what it was. But he's gone back on.
And then he found out what it was, and he felt really bad. And yes, he has done it again. He has done it again. He has reoffended. And it's as simple as that. He has reoffended.
And also, he's posted it. He has sort of shared it quite a bit as well, which if I had a GP News, I wouldn't be sharing it.
This guy is fucking...
And he has invested in the company.
Yeah, and he's now a co-presenter. But he don't feel great about it.
No, not his bag at all.
Bad taste in his mouth. I think that's a great place to end it. To be honest with you, that takes us nicely up towards an hour. And James's mate being the new co-host of the Andrew Neil Show on GB News is where we should leave things, I think. Scotty, you can talk us out. What's on the agenda? What's coming up now?
Thank you for letting me know I can do the outro as well as the intro. So this will be going out on Monday, and we'll be back again later on next week. But as ever, subscribe, tell your mates and stuff. It's the Scotty, Motty, Youngy, and Joe show. Yeah. So we'll see you soon.